1. A little backstory. I was flying with my 3-month-old son to Rome to visit my sister and her husband, who were diplomats. This was 1993, so I was given a bulkhead seat with a bassinet for my son. Okay, here we go. I was pre-boarded with my son, so I sat down and got comfortable. I had my son in my lap, since he was awake. The rest of the people boarded. Across from me were a mother, REM, and her 2 sons who were approximately 15 and 4 years old. EM promptly took the window seat and went right to sleep. In front of them was an elderly woman, and behind them were 3 nuns. The flight attendant came through, ensuring everyone had their seatbelts on, and as soon as she left, the younger kid unbuckled and started running up and down the aisles. The flight attendant came back and told him to sit down and buckle up, so he did. She walked away, and again, the younger kid unbuckled and started running around. Flight attendant reminded him again to sit down. The older kid says, "You can't tell my brother what to do." So flight attendant says that if he doesn't remain buckled up, the plane can't leave. They refuse to listen. Another flight attendant comes and says if they don't sit down, they'll need to be removed from the plane. They finally sit down and ask for cups of water. The flight attendant brings them. The plane starts to taxi. The 2 kids drink their water and then throw the cups onto the elderly woman in front of them. Then they take the magazines out of the pocket and start ripping up and throwing them around. The EM has slept through all of this. The elderly woman calls for the flight attendant because she's worried these 2 will hurt my son, bless her. The older kid and younger kid are now screaming "fuck you" at everyone. The plane stops taxiing, and now the pilot comes back. He wakes EM and tells her to get her kids in line, or they will be escorted off the plane. EM screams, "Leave them alone, they're just kids," and puts her head down again. The pilot has had it. He goes back to the cockpit to call security. Now, just to clarify, due to how the seats are set up, I am the only one who can see all 3 of this family. Security comes on the plane and says to the woman, "You and your kids need to leave." She loses it. She screams something about how her father is dying in Italy and they need to get there. They tell her, "You have to leave now." And then, I kid you not, she starts smacking herself in the face and screaming. My mouth fell open in shock. The man next to me asks me what's going on. I just look at him with my mouth open. The EM and her brats are now hauled off the plane screaming and cursing. The flight finally leaves 1 hour later. It was a lovely flight. My son slept for a while, and when he woke up, the nuns played with him for the rest of the flight. When we land, my sister is at the gate. Her diplomatic status allowed her past security. After hugs, she asks why we're an hour late. The man who was sitting next to me says, "Wait till you hear this story. She saw everything." 2. Bit of info. I, 18 and female, am the assistant manager of a trampoline park. This happened about a month ago. Coworker 1 and I were getting the park ready to be open for the day. On weekends, we usually are slammed with birthday parties people have booked. But on this Sunday, we didn't have any scheduled. I was pretty optimistic because no parties mean less stress for the entire staff. But as soon as the doors are opened, enter entitled mother and her family and friends carrying a cake and gifts. My good mood withers away and dies upon seeing this for one reason. I have to either convince this woman to buy a party package or face the wrath of entitlement. Why can't I just let them have their cake and gifts without paying the extra amount? Is something I get asked by guests every time that this happens. It happens a lot more than you might think. It's because of company policy. You're allowed to bring all that in if you've booked a party with us. If not, then you can't have it inside the park. I have a lot of respect for my general manager and corporate manager, so I stick to the rules. Anyhow, I go up to entitled mother as she is talking to a coworker 1 to buy jump time for the kids. "Hello there, how are you today?" "I'm doing all right. It's my daughter's birthday today, so we thought we'd come here to celebrate it." "Happy birthday to your kiddo, but ma'am, I do have to tell you that you can't have all these items in here without having a party booked. It's company policy. Would you like to set one up? We don't have any scheduled for today, so it's no problem at all." Unsurprisingly, this is where things started going south. She was going off about how she called 2 weeks before to double-check if it was okay, and was told it was. She even pulled up her call log on her phone just to prove she did. I never said I didn't believe her. I checked the date and time to see who would have been the one that was talking to her. Asked EM to come with me down to the end of the entry hallway so we could hear, and got hold of coworker number 2. Coworker number 2 told me that they had told EM that gifts are okay to bring in, but cake was not. My phone, which I had on speaker and was holding between us, was snatched out of my hand by EM, who started shouting at coworker number 2 and calling them a liar. I took my phone back, told the surprised EM not to speak to my coworkers like that, apologized to coworker number 2 and hung up. By this point, it's become clear that there was a misunderstanding in multiple places. But before I could mention that, EM began to scream at me and call me every insult under the sun. Hat, EM's husband, has wandered down to us and is standing there listening. My resting bitch face must have activated because she was raging about how my expression was stony, and how it's pretty clear that I don't have kids because I don't care about how the daughter will be upset and how frustrating it is that I'm telling them no. I bit my tongue on a bunch of retorts and said, "The general manager and the corporate manager would both tell you the same thing that I have." Hat, who was now looking like he regretted his life choices, told EM that once the kids jump, they can take their things somewhere else to celebrate. EM got huffy and said nothing, just stormed off muttering. I went into the office and called my general manager, Boss Man, to let him know what happened in case we received a complaint on our website, and to ask if he had talked to EM at all. He said no. But being the nice guy he is, asked to talk to her, so he could offer her a discounted price on a party package. When I come back out, I tell EM that my manager would like to speak to her. She irritably agrees to talk to him, and we walk back down the hallway. I call him, give her my phone, and stand back. They introduce themselves, and EM plunges straight into complaining about how I told them they couldn't have a cake and gifts without a party package, how me and coworker number 2 were lying, and then lied herself by saying I asked to see her call log. Boss Man must have said the same thing I told her because EM shrieked like a wounded banshee and started cussing him out too. It ultimately ended with her angry crying and hanging up on him, right after a swear-filled insult, giving my phone back and storming away again. 3 seconds later he calls me back, understandably fuming, and told me to call mall security. Have them escort EM out and ban her from the mall. By then, the kids were already jumping, and I didn't want to ruin what fun they could have. So I told him I'd do it if she got rude with me or other coworkers. She didn't. She never said a word to me or any other staff that clocked in while she was there. Once the kids were done, they gathered their things up and left. So yeah, that's my experience with an entitled parent. 4. So I told you all this story a few weeks ago about my dad and the messed up food. I want to tell you how he treats people when they make the slightest mistake. Many years ago, when I still visited my dad, we went to some fast food place to grab a quick dinner. When we got the food and went home, he looked at his food and was outraged. The place dared to put pickles on his food, or something stupid like that. He then picked up the landline and decided to call the fast food place and tear into them for a crazy amount of time. Calling them anything from idiots to dropping F-bombs. I mean primo screaming, the kind you can hear through a 2-story house. This isn't new behavior for him. He will make a scene if something isn't to his liking, even if it's the tiniest imperfection. Oh, and he doesn't stop at restaurants. He will yell at retail staff too. My brother used to work for a popular retail store, and our stepmom decided to come in and shop, hoping for the family discount. When she wasn't given it, my dad laid into the retail staff for daring to not give our stepmom the family discount. And if you couldn't figure it out, he also likes to hurl insults at my mom, brother, and myself. My favorite insult he ever said to me in front of my brother and stepmom: "OP, you're looking fat. Your boyfriend is going to leave you for that." Best part of that experience was stepmom agreeing with him, saying he's right. Just wanted to clear this up, that my dad is a horrible human. Sorry for the rant, and thank you for listening. 5. Backstory. I am a former, now retired pianist and waiter on a Royal Caribbean cruise ship. And I've dealt with a lot of entitled people. Alright. Enough of the lame backstory, let's get juicy. This was when we were ready to head back to our dorm rooms in the ship, and the last few people in the Opus dining room were finishing up their meals. A few paid cash, and a few paid with credit. This difference really sets the scene for massive entitled parent freakouts and tyrants. But this one really stole the cake. Alright, we're ready for the check. I hear this, and look for the EM's receipt. I didn't find it. I wasn't prepared for what was going to happen after that.
Where the fuck is our check?
I'm dumbfounded because I never got a request to get the check from anyone, and the fact that they just yelled in a public dining room. Because of that, we were getting unnecessary attention from other tables, from the 4th and 5th decks. But, being the fine gentleman I am, I walk up to their table and ask if they're ready for the check. Gladly, we'll pay via cash, says the nice dad.
Bring it to us immediately.
Fine, it's going to take a few minutes, though, to print your receipt and get your payment.
You don't mind, take your time.
I proceed to get the receipt and deliver it to them, allowed them to pay for the check and return to grab it. That's when I flip the receipt container, and I realize she was short a penny. I return back to the table, and this is how it all played out. Guys, you're short a penny.
Really? Yeah, Ma'am emptied her wallet.
You rascal, you must have miscounted.
I didn't miscount.
Nice, Dad. Get to finding that penny, damn it.
Just hurry up. In the midst of all the chaos, I got the smart idea to play Beethoven's Rage Over a Lost Penny OP 129, since I thought it would fit the scene perfectly.
Stop playing that music immediately.
My manager sees this and tells me I can continue. EM yanks the manager by the wrist and demands that they get this meal for free. Here's how it went.
That crazy maniac playing the piano is making us look for his penny.
I stop and walk over since I wanted to get this over with.
Did you force these guys to look for your penny?
No, sir, I didn't. These guys were short a penny when paying for their food. Here's the proof. I showed him what EM paid and how much she inserted into the check.
EM? If it was Viper's penny, he would have inserted it in.
You'd be sus as hell. Yes, he learned Among Us terms from me.
But... No fucking buts, you pay for your food or get out of here. Fine, you haven't seen The Last of Us, Viper.
At this point, I'm just ready to go to bed. So other members and I tidy the 3rd and 4th floors, while the manager and the 5th floor workers clean the 5th. We shut down the lights, leave the dining area, and head to floor 12, and into our dorms without having a crazy douche on our tail. This happened around 2010, when the older style of the Opus dining room was there. I think now the chandelier is different than it used to be, and there isn't a piano there, just in case you've sailed with Royal Caribbean recently, though I think it may be in other ships, such as the Navigator and Adventure of the Seas. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to the Impractical Proudness of Parents. iPop, episode 76. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories and sent in stories for use in this video. If you enjoyed the video, then please do like, subscribe, and possibly also comment, if you're so inclined. Also, if you have a story of your own you'd like to send in, be it iPop or any of the other series I do, you can send it along to kingofthecities@gmail.com. That's kingofthecities@gmail.com. And you can find that in the description of this and pretty much every other video, along with various other Hellfreezer-related links, such as Twitter, Patreon, and the Hellfreezer P.O. Box, which is presently open for the next few months, certainly into early next year, after which I'll close it down. Alright, where are we? This is Sunday, yes? Yes, it is. It's Sunday. Very early on a Sunday for me. I really should get to sleep, which I will do. I wanted to get the recording done before I went to bed. It means when I wake up, I don't have to get myself in a headspace to record. I can just put something soothing on and edit and get the video made, then just wiggle my toes for the rest of the day. In theory. I've been watching Greatest American Hero, actually, in the background, and I take little breaks as I'm recording, just to keep me fresh, keep my voice and my mind fresh. So I've been watching The Greatest American Hero. It's an interesting show. Not sure if I'll end up watching all of them, but yeah, sure, it's certainly interesting. It's one of those things that was always kind of on my periphery. I never really got into it. I don't know if it actually aired in the UK. I assume it probably did. It just slipped me by. I hear they keep trying to remake it, actually. I'm sure it'll happen eventually. Well, okay. I should probably wrap things up now. Let's see. Anything else? Anything I need to cover? I've covered all that important Greatest American Hero stuff. No, I think we're done. Okay. And with that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening. And take very good care of yourself.